know I came through with the fuego. You know I came through. Hey, you know I came through. You know I came through with the fuego. You know I came through. Hey, you know I came through. Nowadays, I cannot lay low. I cannot lay low.
Hello class! Welcome sa ating subject na General Mathematics. So, hooray! Congrats class! Dahil natapos na natin yung week 1 natin at alam ko na natutunan nyo ng mabuti yung mga lessons natin sa week 1. So, para sa mga hindi pa nakakapag-subscribe sa channel natin, so subscribe kayo at i-hit ang notification bell para lagi kayong updated sa mga bagong lessons natin sa subject na General Mathematics. Okay, so nandito na tayo class sa week 2 natin. So yung week 2 is all about key concepts of rational functions. So for this video lesson, we will discuss the first two learning competencies of the week, which are represent real-life situations using rational functions, and the second one is distinguish rational function, rational equation, and rational inequality. So for the next video lesson for this week, we will have this learning competencies, which are solves rational equations and inequalities, represents a rational function through its table of values, graph, and equation. And then we will also find the domain and range of the rational function. Okay, so let's have the first learning competency, which is representing real-life situations using rational function. So, before we can represent a rational function, so define muna natin. So, what is a rational function? So, a rational function class is in the form f of x equals p of x over q of x, where p of x and q of x are polynomial functions and q of x is not a zero function. So, bawal maging 0 si q of x kasi magiging undefined yung function natin. So, since sinabi na ang rational function is a ratio of two polynomial functions, so recall natin si polynomial functions. So, ito yun, class, yung polynomial function is in the form a sub n x raised to n plus a sub n minus 1 x sub n raised to n minus 1 plus and so on until you reach the constant term a sub 0. So what are the examples of polynomial function? So, naalala ba natin class yung pinag-aralan natin sa first lesson natin on functions, which are the linear functions. So, that is one example. So, for example, y equals 2x plus 1 or y equals x minus 1. Okay? And another example of rational function is the quadratic function, wherein ang example niya is y equals x squared plus 1 or y equals 2x squared minus x plus 1. And then we also have the cubic function wherein ang example niya is y equals x cubed plus 5 or y equals x cubed minus 2x plus x minus 1. So, those are example of polynomial function. So, tandaan natin class, ang rational function is a ratio of two polynomial functions. Okay, so for example, determine whether the following function is a rational, not a rational, or undefined. So, in letter A, we have f of x equals x squared minus 4 over x plus 2. So this one represents a rational function because the numerator x squared minus 4 is a polynomial function and x plus 2 is also a polynomial function. Okay, so letter B, we have f of x equals x squared plus 10x plus 25. So this one is not a rational function. It is just a polynomial function. Okay. For letter C, we have f of x equals square root of x cubed minus 27 over x minus 3. It is not a rational function class because of the numerator. We have a radical there. So it means it is not a polynomial function. So yung numerator niya is not a polynomial function. So that's why it is not a rational function. On letter D, we have f of x equals x plus 3 over 4. So even class, fraction siya dito, pero ito class can be written as 1/4 times x plus 3. So this is just a polynomial function or a linear function. So this is not a rational function. For letter E, we have f of x equals absolute value of x squared minus 3x plus 1 over 2x raised to negative 3 plus x. So this is also not a rational function because the numerator is not a polynomial function. It is an absolute value function. And yung denominator naman has a negative exponent. So this is also not a polynomial function. Okay? That's why it is not a rational function. For letter F, we have f of x equals x minus 5 over 0. So since the denominator is 0, this function is an undefined function. Okay. So naiintindihan ba kung paano natin na-identify? So, dapat ang numerator is a polynomial function and the denominator is also a polynomial function. So, can you try, class, how to identify? Okay, so can you try this one, class? Determine which of the following is a rational function, not a rational function, or undefined. So, for number 1, is it a rational function or not? Okay, so I will give you a few seconds to answer it. You can pause the video and then try answering them for you to have an exercise on identifying rational functions. Okay, so the answer in number 1 is not a rational function. Okay, for number 2, we have f of x equals x squared plus 7x plus 10 over x plus 2. Is it a rational function or not? Okay, so the answer is it is a rational function because the numerator is a quadratic function and the denominator is a linear function. So both numerator and denominator are polynomial functions. Okay, number 3, we have f of x equals 2 raised to x raised to x raised to 1/3 plus 5x minus 4 over x minus 3. Is it a rational function or not? Okay, so this is not a rational function because of the exponent, which is a fraction. So it is not a polynomial. The numerator is not a polynomial function. So therefore, it is not a rational function. How about number 4? We have f of x equals 2x squared minus 2x minus 12 over 2x plus 4. Okay, so the answer is, it is a rational function because the numerator is a quadratic function, which is a polynomial function, and the denominator is also a polynomial function, which is a linear function. How about number 5? We have f of x equals 3x squared minus 18x plus 15. Okay, so the answer is not a not a rational function. It is just a polynomial function. How about number 6? We have f of x equals 9x minus 5 over 0. Okay, so the answer is undefined. Okay, now we can represent a rational function. So let's have this example. The local barangay received a budget of 100,000 to provide medical checkups for the children in the barangay. The amount is to be allotted equally among all the children in the barangay. Write an equation representing the relationship of the allotted amount per child versus the y variable versus the total number of children, which is the x variable. So the representation for that problem is, so y equals 100,000 over x. Okay? So y is the amount to be allotted per child, and x is the number of children, and 100,000 class is the total amount that is to divide by the number of children. So let's make a table having the values of the amount allocated, and then the number of depending on the number of children. So, class, kung 10 yung children, yung mga bata, so, yung total amount, di-divide lang natin siya sa 10. Substitute lang natin yung 10 para makuha natin yung value kung magkano yung amount bawat bata. So, 100,000 over 10 equals 10,000. So, if x is 20, so replace 20 here, 100,000 over 20. So, the answer is 5,000. And then, if the number of children is 50, so we will have 100,000 over 50. So, the answer is 2,000. And if the number of children is 10, is 100, rather, 100,000 over 100, substitute lang natin dito sa value. So, the amount is 1,000. And so on until if the number of children is 1,000, so substitute lang natin, then the amount per child is 100. Okay, so next situation, a philanthropist wants to supplement the budget allotted for each child by providing an additional of 750 for each child in barangay. So if g of x represents this new amount allotted for each child, construct a function representing this relationship. So, yung kanina class na problem natin is meron daw magdadagdag na 750 pesos sa bawat bata. So, we will have this equation. So, yung allotted budget is 100,000 over kung ilan yung number ng bata. And then, dadagdagan daw bawat bata ng 750. So, this will be the equation. So, 100,000 over x plus 750. So, let's generate yung allotted amount sa bawat bata depending on the number of children. So, kung 10 class, in our first example, if the number of children is 10, we will just substitute the value to the equation. So, 100,000 over 10 plus 750. So, 100,000 over 10 is 10,000 plus 750. That's 10,750 per child. Okay. So, isa-isahin lang natin class yung mga values para makapag-create tayo ng table of values. So, bawat input natin merong kasama na output natin. Okay. So, if ang input natin or ang number of children natin is 20, therefore, so substitute lang natin dito, 100,000 over 10. O, yung 10, papalitan na natin ng 20. Dito na tayo sa pangalawa. Okay, so 100,000 over 20 plus 750. Ayan. So, we will have 5,000 plus 750. So, we will have 5,750. And so on until you complete dito sa 1,000. Ayan. So, pag 1,000, 100,000 over 1,000, that's 100 plus 750. So, you will get 850. So, ganun lang, class. Substitute nyo lang yung mga values. Okay? So, another example. Suppose that C of t equals 5t over t squared plus 1 in milligram per ml. Represents the concentration of a drug in a patient's bloodstream t hours after the drug was administered. Construct a table of values for C of t for t is equal to 1, 2, 5, and 10. So, round off your answers to 3 decimal places and use table to sketch a graph and interpret the results. Okay, so, pansinin natin class pag uminom tayo ng gamot, 'di ba? So, merong time na mataas yung dosage ng gamot na yon into our bloodstream. So, for example, after 1 hour, so, mawawala yung lagnat natin. Tapos, and then, habang tumatagal yung time class, is nawawala yung bisa ng gamot. Kaya, kung meron tayong trangkaso, continuous yung fever, is after 4 hours or 6 hours, iinom ulit tayo ng gamot, no? So, ito yung pinapakita ng situation natin dito. So, yung equation natin is the C of t equals 5t over t squared plus 1. Okay? So, yung C of t natin is the concentration of the drug sa bloodstream natin. So, generate daw tayo ng table for these values, 1, 2, 5, and 10. So, substitute lang natin class dun sa equation natin. So, 5 times 0 over 0 plus 1, that is equal to 0. And then 5 times 1 when t is equal to 1. So, over t squared, that's 1 plus 1. So, 5 over 2, that is 2.5. And then, if t is equal to 2, so 5 times 2, that's 10. And then 2 squared, that is 4 plus 1. So 5t So 5t, that's 5 times 2 over 4 plus 1. Okay. So that's 10 over 5. So the answer is 2. Okay. Next is when t is equal to 5. So 5 times 5, that's 25. Then 5 square plus 1. So the denominator is 26. So 25 over 26, that is 0.962. And then if t is 10, so 5 times 10, that's 50 over 10 squared, that's 100 plus 1. So 101. So that's 50 over 101. That is 0.45. Okay. So we will just plot the generated values dito sa Cartesian plane natin. Okay. So when t is 0, 0, 0. When t is 1, 1, 2.5. Then when t is 2, c of t is 2. Then 5, 5.962. Then for 6, for 10 rather, so that is 0.495. So this is ito yung itsura ng graph natin. Okay? Okay, so tingnan nga natin class kung natutunan natin yung representation ng rational function natin. So, can you try this problem? An object is to travel a distance of 30 meters. Express velocity v as a function of travel time t in seconds. Okay, so how are we going to represent our function? We can pause the video and answer it class. Okay, let's reveal the answer. So, an object is to travel 30 meters. So, yung distance na 30 meters. And then, express velocity v as a function of travel time t in seconds. So, naalala natin class yung lesson natin nung high school tayo sa science natin. So, velocity is equal to the distance traveled over time. So, yun yung formula niya. That's why we can represent the rational function involving this problem as p of t equals 30, the distance traveled, over t. And then, generate tayo ng velocity natin at 1, 5, 10, 15, 30. Okay. So, substitute lang natin dun sa equation natin. 30 over 1, that's 30. 30 over 5, that's 6. 10 over 3. 30 over 10, rather, that's 3. 30 over 15, that's 2. And 30 over 30, that is equal to 1. Okay, so natutunan niyo ba class yung lesson natin ngayon? So, thanks class. I hope may natutunan kayo. So, yung next lesson natin is how to distinguish a rational function, rational inequality, and rational equation. So, abangan nyo yung class. Bye!
Mama!